Welcome everyone to this new video for the backpack community and all those interested in the somewhat hot topic of the moment, which is farming in this season one. This point, farming for a future, for a potential future airdrop of backpack. Why not to the hyper liquid like we saw not so long ago? Thank you for the interest there was in the previous video, the slightly global video presentation of what we were going to propose. And on this beginning of farming, today we will see a bit what action to take on the site regularly or not. What little features to touch, to manipulate, to potentially optimize one's point farming. We are going to test a strategy. We will back test it together for 1 week and see how many points it will have earned, how much in fees it will have cost, the impact with the foundings, positive or negative. We'll make a brief overall assessment and then we'll try over time. I think we still have a lot of time to farm these points. We already know that season one will last 10 weeks. You will find documentation links in the description. We will try to remember to make all that available. For reminder, we mentioned in the description, in the comments of the previous video, that we were giving back $50 per $1,000,000 traded to the people who use our affiliate link, but there will be a small correction on that. We will ultimately give back $30 per $1,000,000 of traded volume to start with. Well, people who are used to trading with leverage and all that, I think they know that $1,000,000 in traded volume can go very quickly. The goal is not to push people to do volume or not. We are really not here for that. We are just here to farm as many points as possible, try to optimize, and perhaps attempt to get an airdrop a bit later. So, we'll start the video right away. We'll do a little reminder, a little recap of the fees. A brief recap of the fees. Everything is the basis is on how much volume you conduct. We have on one hand the spot volumes and on the other hand the futures volumes. So with leverage more simply. Maker fees are for orders executed as limit orders, and taker fees are for orders executed as market orders. If I'm not mistaken, most people use market orders. Everyone does as they wish. We can do a quick review of the CoinGecko page that we saw together in the first video. Backpack is still well highlighted by CoinGecko, so it confirms our bias. We are confident that backpack is being highlighted. We have volumes, which continues from memory to be interesting. Yes, so what interests us is we'll try to look a bit at the perpetual volumes, but I think we'll basically be on, yeah, there we go. We'll basically be on an upward trend because, well, people are naturally interested in farming the airdrop. So it's great. The activity on backpack is all we ask for. And anyway, we're going to try to farm it together. We take a quick look at the points. So a little over 1,000, a little over 1,000 points earned for this past week. I farmed in a typical way. Well, I hadn't yet implemented the strategy that we will test together for a week. I traded in a fairly classic way. It earned points. We're going to try to optimize it and see. We're going to attempt a sort of delta neutral. I don't know if it will really be delta neutral because I haven't really practiced it before. And we will take stock of how many points it will have brought afterwards with the distribution that takes place weekly every Friday, with what capital, how much it will have cost in fees and the impact on fundings. First of all, some fairly simple actions, simple to use. What I can, why not recommend. So yeah, we have a spoiler from earlier, but what I can start to recommend as something interesting would be to perform a bit of volume in a bit of volume in spot, not necessarily regular, but having a bit of spot. But why not? If you have the opportunity, do a bit of spot trading fairly often. I think it could be quite an interesting action. Excuse me, on the right you have the standard interfaces. Actually, what's cool with this exchange is that they really didn't try to reinvent the wheel. It's simple and effective. It works really well. It's great. So wait, I'm checking something. No, okay. They didn't try to reinvent the wheel. We're dealing with quite classic things. You have your limit orders, market orders, conditional orders, your spot purchase. Well, you can put it with a given price, a quantity, and this order will be executed whether the price is reached or not, and the market order so that the order is triggered immediately. So most people use markets, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's quite common. I am quite a fan of the market order, whether for my personal trading or spot. You can choose to activate for your spot to be used for margin, that is to say, for that this spot capital be used in your leveraged positions. For example, if it allows you to push back your liquidation prices, it gives more depth in a way to your positions. So I won't necessarily go into details in this video, but we'll come back to it if some people are interested. You have your sell part and your buy part. These orders, these little options to check, post only, and IOC are only for limit orders. It's a way to try to be quite simple in my explanation. It's ways of order execution. But I don't think most people are interested in that. So the first task to perform, what I can recommend, is a bit of spot volume. So, well, I remind you that Backpack indicated to us that the criteria for point distribution were deliberately opaque so that, well, people wouldn't just do the described actions to earn points. That's not the goal. It's up to us to explore, to dig in. So there you go, a bit of volume in spot, why not? The backpack interface is quite cool because it's something pretty simplistic, simple, effective. I don't ask for more, honestly. Afterwards, you have your future products, so the derivatives, so the with leverage, all that. Interface similar to the hotspot. The interface similar to the spot, the limits, the markets, the conditionals. Below you have some information for your, how to say, your base used margin, the maintenance margin percentage, meaning capital protection. It's a bit complicated to explain. I'll try to be clearer next time, but it's about the percentages of safety margin to avoid liquidations, to put it briefly. The leverage chosen, so just a reminder, backpack is cross margin and not isolated. It's not isolated margin. That means the capital you allocate to a position, where the isolated is really allocated to the position, to the order you execute. The cross margin is there to make it a bit deeper. That is to say, you can open an order with a global size of $10,000, so $1,000 times 10. But alongside, if you have 20, you have 2, 3, 4, 5,000 in margin on the side. It will allow you to lower your liquidation price, because in fact it will roughly use this margin is to avoid liquidating the position. So the cross margin, that is, it actually takes into account the other assets made available, spot or not, at your discretion, or only the futures margins, so that it is usable in quotes across all of your positions. And so there you go. I think the main interest for everyone is the use of these derivative products with volume, with leverage, because that will allow you to do. We know almost for sure that the volume is considered in point farming. So there you go. We know that people try to grab a lot of volume, but where you need to be careful not to trap yourself, not to burn your wings. is to do a lot of volume, but in the end, well, simply break your capital. That's what we'll see a bit later. An option I can advise you to activate is auto land. That means for your margin to be used in the lending functions of the site. So that's I find it personally great. It's a way if you want to you have lending and borrowing. So borrowing, if I'm wrong, feel free to give me feedback. I don't usually explain all this, and it's not necessarily something I spend time on initially. Borrowing is the act of borrowing money. So borrowing money and lending is providing money for it to be used by others. They're basically activating. So this auto lend on your margin, meaning that your position will ultimately be the counterpart of your position. So if it's BTC USDC pairs, your USDC with which you that you use for your position will be automatically offered in lending and give you capital in return, a percentage yield in exchange. I find it nice for airdrop farming to activate this option because in the end it avoids you, so to speak, manually doing it, using another capital to put it in lending or borrowing. Automatically with this option, at least your positions you have serve automatically to use another function, which is lending. So in the end, by making our leverage positions, we also use the lending function. It's perfect, honestly. It's a bit all we ask. Um, don't hesitate to do the calculations with your capital on how much will it cost me to open $1,000, $1,000 times 10. Well, there you go, from 0 to 500,000, up to $500,000 of volume. Well, you are, if you execute a market order, you are at 0.05%, etc. Do your little calculations. And now I will talk about the so there you go. I've slightly told you how use the different products, but here we're going to focus on the main aspect a bit. It's how we're going to try to optimize this point farming together. How I'm going to try to farm points with you with delta neutral. What is delta neutral? We'll try to keep it simple. It's quite simply. I'm going to use Hyperliquid Backpack. At least it makes me do volume on the two exchanges as well. I will take a position on Backpack, which will allow me to make a certain volume. And I will neutralize this position in the other direction to ultimately achieve a quite perfect neutrality. It's not really perfect because we have slippage. That means the price is not the same. You can bet on Backpack and Hyperliquid almost, let's be honest. So it's not a perfect neutrality because you won't pay the same fees, you won't pay the funding will be normal because funding is what you pay to maintain your position. Do you pay to maintain your position? That is to say, if the funding is positive, we will pay to maintain our long position. With negative funding, if I were long, I earn money to go long on the market, to bet on the market going up. In the end, we have a position. Can I change? I would have liked to change the value. My bad. It's just below the value in BTC. I opened. So actually, what will this strategy consist of? We will test. We will optimize gradually to see how much to earn more points. All that. My strategy consists of opening one position per day. And go do the opposite on Hyperliquid. It makes me do a bit of volume every day. If we have to do more, we will do more. We'll see with the distribution of points. Concretely, the first day I just had to open a position, and actually the next day I closed the position and opened a position in the opposite direction on Backpack. So in the end, on the first day it makes you do one transaction, and actually on the following days it makes you do two transactions. Why? Because we close the previous operation and open a new one. So there, second day on time, second day, and I'm filming this video. We have an upward position on BTC of 0.058 on Backpack, and I went to counter that on Hyperliquid. And in the end, I will do my volume without completely breaking my teeth. We will assess at the end together how much it will cost in fees, the funding, all that, so we can see the funding. Naturally, there's a place where I'll gain in funding and another where I'll lose because I have neutralized my positions. You can see that on Backpack on the rise, I paid 38 cents in funding, and logically on the decline, I gained funding. So what is great is that it will allow me to do volume without completely crashing. I don't know if it's truly delta neutral because I have a doubt about whether delta neutral at its core is just about having neutrality and benefiting from fundings. In the end, I'm not really benefiting from fundings because I gain on one side and lose on the other. I just cancel everything, quite simply. And I can't remember if delta neutral is just about benefiting from fundings by having neutrality, which is also possible with a part in spot and a part in leverage, because in spot you will not have funding to pay. But let's say overall that I'm using a neutrality strategy to farm this together, and we'll take stock at the end. We'll take stock, see how much it cost, how many points it brought in, because I think that's what interests everyone. So there you go. I'm using Hyperliquid and Backpack for this strategy. If necessary, in the long run, taking more positions per day, we will do it, we will test it, and we will do a back test together. And for the capital used, I started with, if I remember correctly, $1,050 on both platforms. And I take positions, well, I used leverage, roughly leverage times 5, but my goal is just to take the same position size on both sides. If I need to rebalance the capital, because obviously I gain in one place and lose on the other. If I need to rebalance the capital, well, I will make crypto transfers between the two exchanges. But there's the overall strategy we're going to use together for this point farming. So as a reminder, a little over 1,000 points earned. We will see at the end of the next distribution on April 2nd, we will see what it has resulted in together. April 2nd or 3rd, then I don't know if the distribution takes place one day later. And next video, we'll discuss this strategy. And we will do a little market analysis as I have done on other channels before. And I think it will interest quite a few people with the system I use, a system that's quite well known among people who hang out a bit on crypto Twitter, the Crypto X, as we can mention it now. There you go. We hope that Backpack will continue to do well with good statistics, perpetually rising, and even actually overall, we just want Backpack to generally grow. Just a reminder, we give back $30 for everyone using our affiliate link in the description per $1 million of traded volume. So it can go relatively quickly. Actually, it all depends on the capital you will use, what leverage. And there you go. We continue farming this airdrop together. We'll check in, I think overall next week. All right. Thank you all and see you soon.